This video is about the age-old free will versus determinism debate, but I bring a new perspective and simple language explanation that I sum up as self-determinism. This is a deep dive, but I believe you'll find it new, unique, and fascinating. I believe in determinism, but not hard determinism, also known as predeterminism. Hard determinism presents a false dichotomy. This is the central point of my argument. The issue is not a simple either-or choice between absolute determination and pure illusion. Other possibilities exist. As I will explain, self-determinism is one of them. I do not know whether free will is real, let alone whether humans possess it. The determinism versus free will debate is riddled with baggage and confusion. To me, there is predeterminism and self-determinism, but no coherent concept of free will. In terms of conceptual clarity, free will is as ill-defined as the concept of God. I believe that self-determinism, as defined below, is the closest we come to what people commonly mean by free will. As I see it, we are self-aware, intelligent beings with uniquely powerful faculties of memory and analysis, capabilities that set us apart from all other known entities. We specialize in abstraction, recognizing and deciphering causal relationships and their effects on ourselves and our environment. But beyond self-awareness, we are also time-aware. This is so deeply ingrained in our intelligence that we take it for granted. Time awareness, or chronoreception, is a crucial key to intelligent agency because it grants us a temporal advantage over causality. It allows us to anticipate and prepare for the future, whether it is 55 seconds or 55 years ahead. Whether we are making a grocery list, planning a career, or drafting a will, we actively shape our futures. To me, that is self-determinism, the essence of intelligent agency. Within the constraints of causality, we are the architects of our own lives, responsible and accountable for our actions. This measure of autonomy and purpose is, in my view, what it truly means to have intelligent agency. I am a compatibilist. I believe intelligent agency is compatible with determinism, but not with predeterminism. This absolute form of determinism is rooted in linear causality, the causality of classical physics, bound by entropy to the unidirectional arrow of time. This form of causality is fixed, binary, and inexorable, unfolding in a precisely predictable manner. The clockwork universe of classical physics operates with strict linearity, but only for inanimate objects, not for animate beings. Inanimate objects and animate beings respond to causality in fundamentally different ways, reactive versus interactive, because animate beings introduce causal potentials that inanimate objects cannot. For brevity, let's focus on human beings. Unlike the linear, reactive relationship to causality found in the inanimate realm, humans engage in a reciprocal, interactive relationship with causality. This distinction marks a key difference between physics and biology. Physics deals with inanimate matter, where causality is simple and linear, reactive. Biology, on the other hand, deals with animate beings, where causality is complex and reciprocal, interactive. We have evolved to perceive, recognize, analyze, understand, remember, and anticipate causality in highly complex ways. Consider this. What makes causality so predictable in the inanimate realm? It unfolds in lockstep with the unidirectional arrow of time. It is binary, cause and effect, and irreducibly simple. It is perfectly consistent, repeatable, and predictable, a foundation upon which science depends. Causality underpins all of nature. It is a fundamental assumption of physics and the key to understanding the world around us. The very properties of causality make intelligence possible. Intelligence cannot develop, let alone evolve, without causality as its foundation. Without causality, there is no order, only chaos. Causality lies at the heart of both determinism and intelligence. When these two forces interact, self-determinism emerges, and the key to that interaction is feedback. Can interaction even exist without feedback? Feedback is a defining feature of emergent phenomena like consciousness and intelligence, both of which are deeply intertwined with self-determinism. In contrast, inanimate matter is insensate. It possesses no memory, no intentions, no perception, and no alternatives. Lacking feedback, it is purely reactive, not truly interactive. Although human intelligence gives us a temporal advantage over causality, we are still profoundly influenced by it. In many respects, we have little to no control over its effects. We cannot alter our genetics. We have minimal control over our physiology. And we are powerless against the weather or natural disasters. In a car crash, we have no control over the violent forces acting upon us. Yet we are not entirely at the mercy of causality. We can drive defensively, wear seatbelts, and benefit from airbags, padded dashboards, laminated windshields, crumple zones, side impact protection beams, and advanced safety systems like collision avoidance, anti-lock braking, and electronic stability control. Through self-determinism, feedback allows us to iteratively or recursively modify both our environment and our behavior, increasing the likelihood of favorable outcomes. This is reciprocal causality in action. By anticipating and preparing for possibilities, we exert influence over what happens next. Self-determinism doesn't grant us absolute autonomy. Our lives unfold within constraints like politics, economics, and pure chance. We aren't isolated. We're deeply connected to the people and systems around us, which constantly influence us. Your starting point in life, what some call moral luck, can give you advantages or disadvantages. Furthermore, this process is neutral. It can reinforce bad habits just as easily as good ones. Even so, we can shape our own paths. By consciously reflecting on our actions and adapting, we create feedback loops that shift the probabilities in our favor. While no one has total control, self-determinism is how we work within our limitations to improve our odds and influence our trajectory. But determinism is not always oppressive. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. If you are sunbathing, what demands is determinism really placing on you? Aside from remembering to turn over occasionally to avoid sunburn, you are free to read, people watch, sip a vodka tonic, or simply relax and daydream. When hunger strikes, the available food options are determined by the vendors and restaurants nearby. But what you choose to eat is up to you. Determinism governs states, like hunger, not actions, like choices. Actions imply intent, and intent lies beyond the domain of physics. The burden rests on the hard determinist to prove that intent can be reduced to a physical state, without losing its essential meaning, a challenge at the heart of the mind-body problem they have yet to solve. Until they do, the distinction remains. Feedback occurs between our brains and the stimuli around us, the causal factors shaping our perceptions and actions. I believe this feedback loop is where emergent phenomena like intelligence and consciousness arise. But how does self-determinism emerge from feedback? I cannot say for certain. However, through the lens of reciprocal causality, it is not hard to see how self-determinism could emerge from this dynamic interplay. The human brain generates immense causal potentials far beyond anything possible in the inanimate world. Here is just one way that might happen, explained with familiar ideas and concepts. Cause and effect from the past, experience, are stored in the brain as memories. Cause and effect are also projected into the future, anticipation, when we analyze or plan. Through mental feedback, our brains integrate past experience and anticipated outcomes with present causality to synthesize perceptions, ideas, conclusions, and decisions, each of which is also stored in memory. Now, tell me, which of these causes and effects are essential to this process? All of them, I say. This synthesis of multiple causal factors is impossible within the rigid, linear causality of inanimate objects. But with human intelligence, causality expands to include temporal potentials through memory, the past, and imagination, a virtual future. For us, causality is not confined to the present. It is stored in memory for recall and projected forward through anticipation. Memory and imagination, as mental abstractions, are virtualized extensions of causality that span the past and future. Their synthesis with real-time causality, the present, is transformative, an emergence from complexity, and, I believe, fundamental to both intelligence and self-determinism. Thanks to memory, effects are not always direct or immediate. In the inanimate universe, cause and effect unfold in lockstep with the unidirectional arrow of time. But in the realm of life, especially among humans, causality can be reciprocal, iterative, or even recursive. Causes can follow circuitous paths to their effects, or produce multiple effects over time. Memory serves as a repository of past causal observations, allowing us to draw upon them as needed. Human creativity and innovation emerge when we solve new problems by applying our understanding of prior causality. With reciprocal causality, the relationship between cause and effect becomes exponentially more complex than the straightforward linear causality governing inanimate matter. If you are fixated on uncaused causes and mind-body dualism, consider instead the mental synthesis of multiple causal factors and their role in emergence. We do not function within the rigid, linear unfolding of present causality alone. Rather, we integrate the past, present, and anticipated future into our thoughts and actions simultaneously. There is no uncaused cause, no mind-body dualism, and no violation of determinism, only a synthesis of causal factors spanning time. This synthesis, I believe, is precisely what enables the emergence of intelligence and self-determinism within a deterministic framework. When you stop to think about it, the human capacity for analysis is remarkable, an exercise in abstraction. We draw on feedback from experience, the past, and imagination, the future, to evaluate hypothetical scenarios that exist only as mental constructs. Reciprocal causality appears to have nearly limitless potential. If it is not the key to self-determinism as an emergent property of the brain, what else could be? The key point here is that hard determinism presents a false dichotomy. It is not simply a matter of being either fully predetermined or entirely illusory. Other possibilities exist. One such possibility is emergence through reciprocal causality. I believe the ability to choose is a fundamental component of human intelligence. It is difficult to conceive of intelligence without it. What is human intelligence, if not the capacity to evaluate options and make decisions? To my mind, choice is inseparable from intelligence. Through the intelligent feedback of reciprocal causality, we have options that inanimate objects lack. While linear causality dictates a single course of action, reciprocal causality offers a range of possibilities. Linear causality may define the limits of what is possible, but through reciprocal causality, we anticipate, prepare for, and select our preferred outcomes. Even if self-determinism and intelligence are distinct concepts, they remain deeply intertwined. The ability to make choices inherently requires the ability to anticipate causality. We base our decisions on expectations and pursue plans to bring them to fruition. If choices were fleeting and inconsequential, planning would be futile. But planning is usually not futile. We plan constantly. This suggests that intelligence must involve tracking choices in relation to our plans. Along the way, our choices must be iterative or recursive. Otherwise, meaningful accomplishments would be impossible. Feedback informs our decisions, choices. If that is the case, then feedback is an integral part of the causal stream of stimuli to which we continuously respond. Though internal rather than external, it merges with this stream through constant looping. Causality does not stop at the skull. Our interaction with it is ongoing. If we engage with causality, then feedback must be the mechanism that directs that engagement. It shapes our decisions, guiding the choices we make. We excel at analyzing situations, formulating plans, and executing them. While we sometimes fail, we generally act with confidence in the outcomes. The very ability to plan and follow through demonstrates our capacity to anticipate the future by recalling the past and integrating causality into every step. We engineer moon missions, adapt in real time to crises, and bring astronauts safely back to Earth. If that is not self-determinism, what is? It may well be the only form of intelligent agency we truly possess. Reciprocal causality becomes clearer once we recognize that animate beings, through feedback, introduce far more potential outcomes than inanimate matter ever could. With our advanced intelligence, we effectively engage in a dynamic exchange with causality, almost as if we are dancing with it. Innovation, invention, and creativity all suggest that, rather than being strictly bound by causality, we anticipate and interactively prepare for it. As Einstein once famously quipped, "Everything should be made as simple as possible, but no simpler." The reductionist mindset of hard determinists makes things simpler than possible by failing to account for reciprocal causality, a flaw that may be inconsequential when dealing with inanimate matter, but is critical when considering living beings. Their fundamental mistake is treating animate entities as though they were inanimate, applying linear causality where reciprocal causality is at play. This is more than an oversimplification. It is a category error. To claim that a human choice is just the end link in a long causal chain is like saying a novel is just an arrangement of ink on paper. The explanation is so reductive that it explains the components while missing the phenomenon entirely. This oversimplification ignores the complexity of the brain, the most intricate structure in the known universe. Life, consciousness, and intelligence are emergent phenomena. If life itself could emerge from the chemical interactions of the primordial seas, why could not self-determinism emerge from the brain's electrochemical processes? It is true that emergence is a label for a process we do not fully understand. But this is not a weakness unique to this argument. It is a fundamental reality at the frontiers of science. The alternative, denying the existence of a phenomenon simply because its mechanism is not yet fully mapped, is not a more scientific position, but a less curious one. It may well be that self-determinism arose alongside human intelligence, inseparable and mutually dependent. Human intelligence and self-determinism likely depend on the feedback of reciprocal causality. They are certainly inconceivable within the confines of linear causality alone. We all live as though we possess self-determinism. Jurisprudence, competition, incentives, rewards, praise, blame, loyalty, and betrayal all implicitly affirm it. We contemplate our futures, weigh our options, and pursue the opportunities that best align with our priorities and abilities. At every moment, choices must be made. Self-determinism appears to be self-evident. The challenge is to explain it, not deny it.